Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us. And if you're joining us for the first time, a very special thank you. I'm always grateful to welcome new listeners because I believe that the more listeners we have listening to others tell their stories and how they get to where they are and their journeys, I think it's important for all of us. I try to make CWS a sort of a community because I think it is important to recognize that each of us has a story to tell. So I'm always looking for someone who is doing something extraordinary or doing things extraordinarily well. I especially like when people speak of their challenges, and especially because we never know who is listening, which young person, which young boy or girl anywhere in the world might listen to you and be inspired and be encouraged to step beyond their limitations or their challenges, listening to how you might have overcome some of yours. I venture to say that I do not believe in all the biographies I've read and all the successful people I've spoken to. Um, I do not believe that there is any success without challenges. And with that, I'm always encouraging people to pursue their ideas, not just so that they can bask in the glory of their success, but so that the rest of us can benefit from it. Because you see, I believe that when we are successful, it is not only to glorify us, but it's to be as a beacon to illuminate our paths, to illuminate others, to remind others that they too can shine. Perhaps to shine a light to show someone where they can find their switch. And so with that, I never I am never disappointed when someone fails. As a matter of fact, I'm even more encouraged because it tells me that here is someone who may one day do something that is spectacular, do something that is remarkable, do something that is marvelous. And I'm using these words tonight, these adjectives, because our guest this evening, as you will see as the conversation um, as the conversation evolves, that these words, these adjectives are tame when it comes to describing one of the gems of our soil, the gems of Guyana, Sonia Noel. We have a packed show this evening. But before I go, let me just state the goal of CWS. Here we have conversations with people about their journeys and how they're using their gifts and talents to help others. How are they making a positive contribution to humanity? So I'll take a quick break, and when I return, I'll introduce you to Sonia Noel. We are back. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The lovely lady next to me is Sonia Noel. Sonia, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Selwyn.
I'm so happy to have you here this evening. It is indeed a pleasure, actually.
The pleasure is mine, and I must thank you for inviting me to chat with you today, well, this evening.
Um, Sonia, before I introduce the audience to you, I just want to give them a little glimpse into how challenges can present itself. This evening, a few days ago, it started. We're trying to test for sound and test for video. and we have no sound coming from you. We tried everything, everything under the sun wouldn't work. This evening, half hour before the show, we're trying again, and it wouldn't work. And then, what did you do, Sonia?
Yes, I mean, I was just before you connected with me, I was just reflecting on how talented it actually was getting this started. So this evening I was coming to Showtime, and when we were singing this song, I was like, oh, and then something dropped in my spirit. Why don't you play Break Every Chain? So I just went on YouTube and I just after in, I would say 10 seconds, you were hearing my voice. So it's just a testimony of how present and alive God is. And today is just another one of those. And I must thank Him. I thank Him every day. I thank Him when I wake up in the morning, even knowing if I can see, so long as I'm breathing, I'm alive. I thank Him just for being alive.
Sonia, we're having a little bit of squawking. Please make sure that there is no one in your environment that is logged on to the show, because we'll have terrible feedback. Or or your computer doesn't have the show on any one of the browsers.
No, I have another computer in my office, but it's not on the show. They're on the computer, but not on the show.
Could you have them come off, please? Because we need as much bandwidth as we can. You are actually in Guyana.
Oh, okay. So you'd have to come off the computer.
Yes, we need as
Okay.
much bandwidth as we can.
All right.
All right. So let's proceed. Um,
How was your day, Selwyn?
Sorry.
How was your day?
My day was hectic. It was hectic but pleasant, and
But that's nothing new, right?
that's true. That's true. But it was especially pleasant because I was anticipating a wonderful show this evening.
Okay.
I,
So well, I should say that I added to your days, to your day, at least thoughts of our conversation tonight. Certainly added to your day.
yes, of course, of course. I had the honor of reading your bio, and I was really I should say impressed with what I've seen, and
I have, I actually had an up-to-date bio, but my computer crashed and that was on, but that's why I wanted to have it not so up-to-date, but I'm sure you got some information.
well, I'm just going to give a synopsis of what you sent, and hopefully by the end of the conversation, the audience will get a better idea of who you are and some of the things that you do. So let me
Okay.
begin with this. The last 15 years, Sonia Noel quickly became one of the more recognizable names in the directory of Caribbean designers. She has been shrewd enough to position herself throughout the region at all the noteworthy fashion events and intuitive enough to create a label, Mariska's Designs, that is a unique hybrid of Guyanese craftsmanship, Caribbean ingenuity, and an all pervasive universal style. Her designs can be worn from the beach to the ballroom and has dressed from housewives to first ladies. She has been a veritable designer of soil, whose tireless work to make Guyana proud seemed to have paid off when she was awarded at the 2011 British Virgin Islands Fashion Weekend the accolade of Caribbean Fashion Ambassador. She also received the GMSA award for her involvement in youth development and cross borders promotion of the local fashion industry. She proved her mettle by participating in many a significant fashion week and weekends throughout the Caribbean Fashion Week, St. Kitts Fashion Week Trinidad and Tobago, USVI Fashion Week, Antigua Independence Fashion Weekend. In addition to these grand expositions, she also took part in the Caribbean Gift and Craft Show, and I highlighted her Marisca's label in St. Vincent, Suriname, Cayenne, Grenada, St. Lucia, and Barbados, even going further afield in New York, Toronto, and London. Um, let me let me just read another part of this because I want to get the show started. Strong-willed and determined, this Leo pioneering CEO of GFW, who had also worn the hat of the official fashion designer for Barbados Music Awards, has gone on to produce two reality television series in Guyana, Guyana Model Search and Designer Stylist Portfolio, and later to produce a pioneering talk show for television, Diatribe, being developed now for Caribbean viewership. Back in 2008, The government of Guyana commissioned her to head the fashion component of CARIFESTA X, which proved to be one of, if not the most comprehensive program at that event, and etc. etc. Sonia,
Hi.
congratulations on being awarded a Life Achievement Award in fashion. I think that was recently in Barbados, correct?
Thank Yes, thank you.
What can you tell us? What can you tell us about that award and how you were feeling as you stood there holding it in your hands?
You know, I've had a few awards before, and the apart from the one I got from U.S. Virgin, I actually got one that wasn't not in the bio, which was a presidential award here last year. And being awarded that from Barbados Music Awards, being official designer when it first started for the first years when I lived in Barbados, it was a very great feeling. And it reignited my passion for the industry. It just makes me think that I'm on the right track, and being recognized for your work is always a good thing, I think, because a lot of times, sometimes we don't even get compliments, and then I thought I should do it to be awarded, because I actually think what I'm doing is just a human, that's fundamental, a fundamental responsibility we all owe it to our society to, like, within my field, it's, to harness the talent, to groom it, just to lead it in the right way to make sure the youth achieve their full potential. So I just don't think I'm doing something special, but to be acknowledged for my work, I think it's a tremendous feeling.
Congratulations again. Um,
Thank you.
a visionary who is professional, talented, insightful, and business savvy. Some I got from what I read, some I came up on my own. Is it fair for me to refer to you as a phenomenal woman?
Well, uh, yeah, well, from what the definition of a phenomenal woman is, but coming from my kids, they say that, and they're kind of biased. But coming from some of the youngsters here in Guyana and out of Guyana, I mean, it really feels good. I've been referred to as that, and as I said, I think what I'm doing, it's going to give me accolades. That's fine, but I just want to. I can't say I want to because it's going to sound cliche to make the world a better place, but we all have to live in the society, whether it's Guyana, the U.S., wherever. And if we do our little parts, and sometimes it's not nothing huge, we do our little parts to, and it's not just the youth, and the youth. The term youth is relative because some of the people I deal with is actually older than I am, but they're probably young to what the industry. Just an encouraging word sometimes might take you a far way. Sometimes people would send me emails or Facebook messages to say, well, something you've said in an interview inspired me. I know one of the most touching things sometimes that I remember distinctly came from somebody that was not in the industry. It was a young man who worked in the interior. He came one day to my office here, and obviously he didn't look fashion conscious or anything, so they came and said, there's kind of a strange young man outside to see you. And I went outside, and he said, I work in interior, I'm a minor, and I must say that you inspire me. So I was like, oh, nice to hear. But I just wanted to hear how I inspired him because obviously he was not of our industry. So he said the Cultural News had done an article, they featured me as a special person. And he read the article, he said he had malaria and typhoid, and he was so ill. The newspaper came to his camp. And he said after reading that article, he was so inspired from where I came to now. And, and something I said in the article, but he said, he just started even feeling better, although he was really ill with malaria. And he told himself, he said he thought about the interview. It inspired him so much to do better with his life, to do something positive and to, stop drinking and stop doing. And there's so much you can inspire people from your inspiration. So he said he had to come and see me. When he came out of the interior, he came to see me. So that was one of the things that stuck in my head. Somebody out of my industry being inspired what I do.
Talking about from whence you came to where you are. Let me ask you this: what was it like growing up in Bartica, and then later in 2008 receiving the award, the Pride of Bartica?
Yeah, the Pride of Bartica. Bartica. I would not trade my upbringing and my childhood in Bartica for all the tea in China. And Selvin does a lot of tea. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, fond memories of going to the river, pretending, well, not hardly pretending to go, to go and wash. like especially weekends when we don't have school. So you go on the river, me and my siblings and sometimes my cousins and so on. We really went to swim, intentions of swimming for hours. So where we lived, actually, they had a huge garage. So we used to go and get the tubes, and blow them up and spray, just go out to the beacon. And actually, I was a very good swimmer. I actually saved a couple of people. And so when my mom would probably say, "What are these kids doing?" So they would come and check on us. We started washing us yet, and like traveling up to Barcelona. When you see people like at the riverside, like still brushing and beating. I mean, everything is washing machine and so on now. But it just brings back memory to my childhood days there. And like my cousin, she used to sell cocoa sticks. So Sundays, most Sundays I would spend with her because I was very close with her daughter, Lorraine. So we'd be in the backyard, a lot of trees. And some of them were really sweet. Most of them were sweet, but some of them were sour. And if it's sour, it kind of, your tongue kind of gets very funny after a time. So we cut the things up from the cocoa pod and then we put them to dry, then she would grind them. So our Sundays would be there hours, like a whole set of them and just stuck in and just putting it to dry. But it was so funny because we would share jokes and try doing that, and then some Sundays we even incorporated a bush cook at the corner of this is the cocoa garden at the corner. We have bush cook, even if it's born and so on, it tastes so good to us. So being with that time a lot of Creole calls, and then we get calls from mommy or her mother. So growing up in the country area, and then we never bought fruits because everything was given away because most people had fruit trees and everybody was like family. Because growing up in Bartica was, it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is, nothing. It was always the uncle or auntie, some elder, and the respect was there. So it was like growing up in one big family in Bartica, and I would not trade that because it really made me the person I am today. And I mean, having a country upbringing and living in the city now and being able to travel to cities and so on, it's a great feeling because you kind of develop appreciation for life that is different to when you grow in the city. Because when you grow in the city, I mean, I don't the kind of closeness you have to your neighbors, it's not the same at all. So I absolutely love my upbringing in Bartica. I wouldn't trade it at all.
And then getting that award.
Oh, getting the award in Barbados recently, like
No,
reflected.
no, no, not that one. The one in
Oh,
Bar.
the Pride of Bartica. Oh, the Pride of Bartica. Yes, that was given to me 2 years ago, and they're very proud of me. See, the regional chairman, Gordon Bradford. When I was like really young, being part of the regatta committee, we would be like for the entire weekend really busy and like early in the morning going on the beach to make sure that the bottles are not there because the racers have to go and the swimmers and so on. So we go way back. So him presenting that award to me, he got very emotional and teary eyed and talking about the little red girl that he knows since before she was born and all of that. So it's to be there and to hear how proud they are of me, of my achievements and so on, and being actually given something. I'm looking at it right now, Pride of Bartica. So I actually feel, I mean, that's a special award, very
Who
special for me.
who
And
has
coming back to when talking about my childhood there just now, it reminded me of when I was invited to Brown University about 4 years ago. Actually, I've been the first. I don't know if they have ever invited any other, but I know it's the first Caribbean designer to be invited there to do a presentation on Caribbean fashion. And being on the stage that evening, and the hall got so still. You could hear a pin drop how still it got. And I got flashes of that little girl that had a dream. That little girl that lived in the country in a village called Bartica. And today she's at the Ivy League University giving a presentation. And it just, anybody can achieve what you want to. And I say that to people. It doesn't matter what challenges there are. There are hurdles there's so many things that you have to overcome sometimes to get there. It's harder for some than others. But just standing there that evening, being invited to that prestigious university, I got reflection of that little girl into the river, that little girl in the backyard, that little girl that her mom always made her think that she can do anything and she is somebody no matter that we didn't have a lot of money. So I think that you can achieve anything.
talking about that little girl? Let's let's um let's go back to the 13-year-old little girl. 13. What do you miss most about being 13? A,
Oh,
right? What do you miss most about being 13? And who have had um Who have had one of the some of the greatest impact on you as a child?
What is best about being 13? I heard that part of the question, but not the other part.
Okay, what do you miss most about being 13, and who has had the greatest impact on you as a child?
Okay. Well, probably being carefree, but I can't say that I was totally carefree because I was always a responsible child because I was the eldest and I knew I had to help my mom because my dad, of course, left by then. And so at 13, I would be making things to help my mom. I would throw back time since I was 10. Anyway, at 13, I mean, it's okay. You play ring games, you play saw, you play rubber band. You line on the corner with your friends. You run up and down the hill because you're at Mongraphy Hill. And probably, of course, I miss being fitter because I'm not fit at all right now. And my biggest inspiration, of course, would be my mom. I can say safely say my mom. I
Mm-hmm.
look at her. I mean, she has such a warm heart. She has a heart of gold. I say to people, the part of me that can be a bit ruthless sometimes, that's from my dad. The part that is ah, just really caring and all the good things, that's from my mom. She is like really a sweet woman, and she really taught me to be me. And she encouraged me in anything I want. I was modeling at 13, but not really modeling, but a little school community pageants and stuff like that. When in terms of time, my aunt Avis that died from breast cancer. When it comes to, she was a stickler for time. I learned that from her. Just try, or even if you can be on time, make sure the person knows, be early for school, early for work. I learned that from her. And my aunt Corinne, oh, she used the dress. Well, she still does. But I always admire her because everything matched. And she was my youngest aunt. So we were like a little like sisters. So like when stuff can't fit her anymore, she would give it to me and I'll take it in and so on. But she was really a fashionista, still is. So there are a few influences from my family, definitely.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit from the 13-year-old girl. 2010, you received the GMSA award for raising the bar in the local fashion industry and initiating cross-border trade. Why was raising the bar important?
I think it was,
Sorry.
I think well, okay, fashion. I actually had a show called Simply Irresistible a few years ago. That's way before Fashion Week, and it was my always when I launched my new collection. It was a cabaret show, cabaret in fashion, and it's quite a hit. It was actually every year it was always sold out. Then I thought about it. I thought about my love for the industry and I want to see it grow. And I'm just a small part of it. It's just, I mean, it's not about me. So after being able to travel, being invited to some of the shows in the region, I look around and I said, you know what? It is so expensive to travel because especially when you don't get funding from relevant authorities, you have to take, it's very expensive. There's so much talent back home that I'm going to say home, I mean Guyana. And they would probably never get to come out here. So that is how Fashion Week was born, was weekend before week. And I said, I need to have an event where just not my collection will be showcased. I need to provide a platform, especially for the young talent, because I can remember, coming up on my own, it was very hard to, there was nothing really to showcase on. So you had to plan independent shows. So I said, I need to provide that opportunity. And thank God with the guidance, it was very, very challenging. It still is. I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And we just had our sixth edition, which is Fashion Week now, which is going to be biannual. But that is, I guess, that is what they're referring to. So every opportunity I got in all the contact and the networking that I did when I traveled, I used that and the people and the connections to actually bring together the Ghana Fashion Week, especially the inaugural one. We had a huge cast that really helped to bring it up, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that we have been able to celebrate our sixth edition. A lot of events over the years in the Caribbean, I mean Barbados, USVI, even Trinidad and Tobago, they have went to the 3 years and then it just went.
Well,
So under not ideal circumstances, I think we're still persevering in Ghana, and I must say that we must give ourselves props for that.
Wonderful. You have graced the pages of many magazines. What is the common message you would like readers to come away with after seeing your photos and reading about you?
I didn't hear the question. It's
I said you have graced the pages of many magazines. What is the common message you would like readers to come away with after seeing your photos and reading about you in these magazines?
you know, reading sometimes it depends on the angle of the story that some people want to portray. Because a lot of times people don't even know about the brand. They know about Sonia Noel, the designer. They know a lot about my work. Very, very few times you'll say people mention anything beyond my work. Because I was a school teacher at one time. But what I would like to, because our industry can be very frivolous, it can be very fake, it can be, I mean, there are many words that you can describe, but it's also a beautiful industry. And but what are the other things I want people to see? I mean, when it comes to fashion, sometimes people look at it as what is it? A runway, some girls walking up and down, some pretty girls. Just it is way beyond that. And I always describe fashion as beyond the runway. And what we've been able to do over the years is incorporate positive messages because fashion has a ready audience. I mean, you hear people saying, "Oh, I'm not fashion conscious," but if you make a decision to wear a red tie today or a blue skirt, a pink shirt, it's a fashion decision, no matter how small it is. You've made that decision to wear those colors or a particular concept. So what we do is incorporate, over the years we've been working about with the environment, HIV/AIDS, domestic violence, and some other parts. So we've incorporated that into the platform of fashion. So I would like people to see fashion as beyond the runway.
I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit. What is your pet peeve, if any, about the local fashion industry?
Hypocrisy.
I didn't hear.
Um, definitely. It could be a cutthroat industry, but you just can't dwell on that.
And
You find a lot of,
sorry.
you find a lot of hypocrites.
And I'm curious. I am curious. What drives you nuts about being Sonia Noel?
Everyone be turning around. That's a good question. I drive myself nuts. um, what drives me nuts about being turning around? See, it's well, when I get frustrated, I can go crazy. And what gets me frustrated, not being able to do more for the young creative arts in Guyana. Um, that definitely drives me nuts. I just because there's so much that can be done. My hands are tied, but I just feel sometimes that I'm not doing enough. So I would definitely say that drives me nuts.
All right, you launched Making Style. Is that correct? Your fashion magazine in St. Lucia in April
It's
last year.
fashion and lifestyle.
Ah,
Fashion and lifestyle.
fashion and lifestyle. Um, why St. Lucia? Why another Caribbean magazine? And why now?
No, it was launched in Guyana first, you know. It was launched in Guyana, then St. Lucia, Tobago, Barbados, and then the US. Okay, I'm sorry, Suriname, French Guyana, and then the US. Um, not a Caribbean magazine. You thought it was only launched in St. Lucia? No, it
That's
has to
what
be here first. This is my birthplace.
wonderful.
Um, but I think, okay, as Caribbean people, I think sometimes we are too apologetic for being Caribbean. And sometimes you see watered down versions of what we are supposed to be. And Making Style, myself and Richard Young, who is one of the most brilliant minds, the brilliant creative mind I've ever encountered. And I mean, I'm very fortunate to have him in my camp. Actually, we were in Barbados together. And just before coming on air, I just spoke to him. He's also one of the judges in Caribbean Next Up Model. He's doing tremendous things around the region. But it's a celebration of Caribbean style and who we are without any apologies. So it's from the cuisine to the fashion to the singers to whatever is truly Caribbean. Because sometimes you hear people say, like, one time there was this designer was having an interview and she said, I would just like to be remembered as a designer who was from the Caribbean or some nonsense like that. You have to be proud of who you are. And a lot of times Caribbean people, like, when they refer to either the artists or stuff from the Caribbean, it's not in a proud way. It's always in a way like, okay, well, it just happened, you know. But we have to understand us and be proud of us. If we want anybody to take us seriously, we have to take ourselves seriously. So, and saying that, I still think that we are still insular. I mean, we're too small in the region to be insular. Barbadian, Guyanese, Trinidad, and Jamaicans, and we all I mean, we have more similarities than differences, and even the differences. I mean, it's nothing to talk about. So I still think that we're at the stage where we still don't have that cohesion. We still don't have the collaborations and the partnerships, and that's why coming back to Barbados, now it's fashion, music, fashion, and film awards. I think I must commend Ronnie Morris for incorporating the other art forms. And also this year, a lot of emphasis was placed on Guyana because we had some artists out of Guyana, Lisa Punch, Travis Bowen, Ernest Nelson, and Mystic was scheduled to perform, but he was not well. But it's that kind of partnership and collaboration that we need to move and propel the Caribbean and to make them get the attention to what we I think it's a work in progress, and I am optimistic at some time that it would happen, but I'm disappointed that at my stage right now that I'm not seeing more opportunity.
Now, um, let's talk Carafesta 10, right? You were you were the head of the fashion, the fashion component for Carafesta 10. What did it mean to be part of such a historic and symbolic event in such a significant way?
Carfest we're talking about, right?
Yes, Carafesta.
Um, Carfest, the Caribbean Festival of Art. You know what? When I think about Carfesta, and okay, let me first touch on the fashion part of it. When I led the fashion delegation, the fashion component of Carfest, it was here in Guyana, and we had actually we had like 10 shows in a few days. We had designers from all over the region. It was phenomenal. It was a really amazing. It was tiring, exhausted at the end of it. Actually, it was so consuming that I did not get to see the other parts of only that was in the compound there because it's always so spread out, right?
Hmm.
Um, but it was a great thing being selected to head that continent there, and we had a tremendous response. We had designers, from all over the region, as I mentioned. This I had much more time for myself because it was so long, and I was one of the designers there, and so I got to see some of the other events, and I thought about it. I actually a lot of I a lot of people requested to have interviews with me during the Car Festival season. So I actually voiced a lot of my opinions because I think from the time we started, and I mean, Boredom was one of the founders and the brainchild behind the first one in '72. I was just a year old. But from what I heard, it was just spectacular event. And I think from then to now, it's the Caribbean Festival of Art. So we're talking about all art forms on show. We're supposed to be the best of the best in the region. I don't think we have gotten to the stage where Caribbean people are excited about the event. Because I can remember being in Suriname, talking to people online and say, I mean, what are you doing there? Carpus, what happened? So right in the region, people were not even aware that it was happening. It happens every 2 years and still. And I don't think that we are attracting like the kind of international press to cover the events to sell because what that is what makes the event live. Who is there to take it out there, take the word here, there, you wherever it is. So we need by now we should have been at that stage. We should have had the respect our art form to get that kind of attention. And like I was saying to one of the directors there, I said, it's a collective effort every country in the region. Like some people knew they were going to that festival 2 weeks before, 2 days before. Like you have to. We have 2 years. We know it's in Haiti this time around. We know it's in Haiti. Haiti is the host country, but we can't only depend on the host country. Every country that is part of the that's going to part of the event, we need to have house stuff going on, maybe with your elimination, whatever you want to do to get that force to represent your country. So you have an awareness going on, right, in every country, and then the host country, of course, they have to do much more. And then also the Caricesta song comes out way too late because that kind of because they had some very good songs over the years. But it came out like I heard the song when I went to Suriname for the actual event. That's when I heard the song. The song should be out way before playing in all the CARICOM countries. So that itself kind of gets you kind of excited. So even if you're not part of contingents of so as such, you still want to go and experience the Caribbean Festival of Arts. So we need to work on that as Caribbean people.
All right, I have some questions here for you, Sonia. Quite a few, and simply because I want to give the audience a more multidimensional perspective of who Sonia Noel is. So some of these questions later on we're gonna do a rapid fire where I ask and you answer as quick as possible. But now I wanna ask you this though. In
I'm
your
still not hearing you totally clear. I have to like
All right,
try and
okay.
hear you.
What about now? Are you hearing me clearer now?
I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. In your quiet moments, when you're alone with Sonia, and I'm asking you this question because you're a designer, you're creative, what color is most persistent in getting your attention?
When I'm alone with Sonia. Color you're talking about?
Yes, color. What color?
Earth. I
Yeah.
like earth colors.
What color?
Earth colors.
Earth colors. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's another personal one. What is and this is because I understand you love music. What is a persistent melody or piece of music when you are creating or constructing a piece of clothing?
Well, yes, I love music, and but in terms of creating, because I'm not the type of person that would sit in a room and say, oh, I want to think about my collection. One of my collection I got an influence watching the surfers in Bathsheba. Sometimes I'm at the airport, plane is delayed, and just people watching. I got inspiration from that. Traveling up the Essequibo River, looking at the vegetation, listening to the sound of the waves in the engine. So it varies, and it's not that. I think for some people it works. Just lock yourself away and whatever. But music, I absolutely love it, and I love all music. And they say environment beats factor. That is so true because my mom was into a lot of old music like Paul Anka, Neil Sedaka, the Carpenters, Air Supply, and I was very fortunate to listen to Air Supply a few years ago live in St. Lucia. So I also have an appreciation for jazz, and of course, modern days it would be definitely but our Caribbean icon Bob Marley because of the positive messages in his music. His music I can put on a Bob Marley DVD and just listen to every single one of it. I can still be inspired by his messages.
I want to.
Um,
Sorry.
you were
Sorry.
saying something?
Okay. No, I was going to say I want to read some questions, some statements from the chat room, and then we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
Ash said, yes, a multifaceted, let me see, multifaceted, talented, artistic, and business minded woman. Congrats on the Barbados Award, Miss Noel. Mariska, hi, mommy, I'm so proud of you. Lorna Welchman at Blitz said, congrats, Sonia. I am so happy for you, and most of all, for being a part of Mariska Designs. Ash said, tell us a little more about your interest in the world of sickle cell disease. What, if anything, are you hoping to do that would help with this? That was going to be my next question, believe it or not. But let's take a quick break. We are back with the lovely Sonia Noel. Sonia, the question is, what can you tell us about your push for sickle cell awareness in Guyana? And then we'll take the other part of Ash's question.
Okay, actually, Sickle Cell, they asked me recently to be the patron of Sickle Cell. I got this letter one day, and I read it, and then I considered my time, and because when I'm going to commit to something, I need to give it my all, or I'm not going to be involved. So I called Northbound and I decided, yes, you know what? I asked her about what does it entail for me to be the patron, and she told me that we need to have more awareness and raise funds. And then I started, doing my own little research about it because seriously, it's a condition that not a lot of people know about. I mean, you would hear the name, but in terms of, with people living with what the crisis and what they go through and all of that. So I decided, you know what, and then it predominantly affects Black people. I said, you know what, I'm going to give it some time. So I said this year, one of the things I said, Hope Foundation, Bartica, which I'm one of the directors, and Sickle Cell, those are the two causes I'm going to work closely with. And it's a condition that affects the red blood cells, and of course, if that's affected, transmission of oxygen, in the body, and then it's hereditary. And you could you believe in Guyana, especially I know I'm let me speak for Guyana because when kids are born here, they're not tested for sickle cell. That's not implemented as yet. And so you can go on and marry someone that has the traits, and then you end up having a baby that is, and even at the Georgetown Hospital, that's one of the things that I'm going to be lobbying for. Like this morning, I actually looked at the DVD, and I think people should take a look at this because it's educational. The family legacy, which tells you a lot about sickle cell, and it's a short film. So I called three television stations this morning. I said, listen, I'm a patient of sickle cell now, and I need more awareness, and I'm going to ask you to show. Let's start with this. I needed to show the short film. And all three of them said yes without hesitation. I plan to call the other two tomorrow, and I intend to hear yes too. And so we are going to be having some awareness at the hospital. That you some days you go there and you see kids that are in pain because it affects the joints, and they're there waiting for 5 hours without any attention. So what we're talking about is getting some kind of card where when you go, your history is there, and then you can be dealt with very quickly. And it's really sad the conditions that when I went to St. Lucia in November, they showed that I feature designer for race funds for sickle cell, and I must say that St. Lucia, the awareness is there. There's a lot, like they have workshops with employers and the schools, and because even teachers sometimes don't know how to deal with kids that are suffering from it. So we are way, way, way back in Guyana here. And I intend in my own little way, and with the other people that are on board with the association, Nurse One and the others, and I'm trying to encourage people to join the association because we need more human resources to other than finances. To awareness, we plan to go to churches, to schools, have walks, but have the awareness drive, raise funds, and see how best we could lobby with the ministry. I talked to the Minister of Health already. He pledged his willingness to help us. So we need a lot to be done with that condition, and I'm going to help. I'm going to do whatever I could to make the conditions better.
Tablet that sent a message. You
Yes, it
said
was
you wanted to
Lorna.
learn it. Oh, she's a phenomenal woman. I have so much respect for her.
All right, so let's. Wow. Thank you. I'm so glad that we are back on. Lorna said, "Congrats, Sonia. I am so happy for you, and most of all, for being a part of Mariska Designs."
Yeah, she's actually my contact in the U.S.
Oh, wonderful.
She's the one that
She has a
organized my lunch for the Boku Mr. thing. But she is a person that she encourages a lot, and I look up to her so much because I think she's a Guyanese woman out there that really made us proud. So I absolutely love her.
she is indeed a phenomenal woman. I can testify to that. And True Friend said, "Congrats, Sony. Your passion for propelling on give courage to others." Ian R said, "Representing Guyana once again, Sonia. Keep up the great works." All right, let me ask you this. All right, since we're back and we have defeated whatever it is that was trying to stop us. How do you think your growth as a designer has evolved over the last 3 years since the launch of your label, Mariska?
I think over the last 3 years, I have I've been, although I honestly think my brand as Mariska's Design could have been so much farther ahead, but my focus kind of deviated a bit when I started Fashion Weekend and now Fashion Week because um, and sometimes I get licks from some of my friends with saying, "Yo, you always too selfless, whatever." But it's just years. Sometimes people like to see staying power and they like to see consistency and whatever. So, like sometimes you go to fashion shows, you go to expos, and you go for different reasons. Sometimes you go for the media that's there. Sometimes you go just because you have to be consistent. And people have you have to always have your name out there and sound looking like you're legit and so on. And that's when people take you seriously. And I must say, for the past 3 years, I've been getting a lot of attention and respect, even more respect. So I think the brand is definitely growing, and the brand Mariska's Design. I just launched my new first resort collection, which is now available in Barbados, St. Lucia, Tobago, Haiti, and of course in Guyana. And I intend for it to go, but because it's a versatile line and it's timeless and it fits any body type. So my online store is going to be up. I hope soon. So because people from all over, I mean, on Facebook, I get so many messages of people wanting to access my clothing. So I have to make it accessible to people. So I think in the last 3 years, it's been challenging because, managing, still being a mother, managing a business and still managing a big event like Fashion Week portfolio and that's nurturing the young designers. It's been challenging, but sometimes I say, oh, 24 hours in the day is not enough. But when you love something from the heart, you find a way to make it work. And that I think I've been able to do that over the years.
What is the trigger that started started your own that caused you to start your own clothing line?
Oh, actually, that was I was living in Bartica still, and I would do stuff for, just friends and family and yourself. And when I owned my own shop there, it was called Mariska's Fashion after my older daughter Mariska, who was studying in Jamaica. Um, and I would the stuff that I wore to work, which is the shop. It wasn't nothing to do with what I was selling. The people would always come and say, "How you always have the most creative and stylish, unique stuff, and we never see it in here." But it wasn't stuff that I bought to sell back. It was stuff that I created. It was all concept from me. So people would, encourage me, and after I said, you know what, I'm gonna actually try this. I'm gonna because I'm not formally trained. I'm self-taught. But prior to that, like growing up, I would teach kids how to do head wraps out of paper and make doll clothing. I can remember when I went to St. Anthony's, St. John the Baptist Primary. During the break, I would always have stuff teaching the kids what to do, make a wrap skirt out of thing, and so it was always me. I mean, fashion is I describe it as being a part of my DNA. It's me. I breathe it. I sleep it. I live it. It's where I'm most animated and alive. Very much so. I just absolutely love
What
fashion.
kind of message do you think your brand is communicating in terms of the style and the personality of the wearer?
I think actually Mariska's Design it appeals to a wide cross section and for all body types as I mentioned. I try to think as a woman. Some women are not so sure of themselves, so we have that. We cater for that, and we cater for the one who's very edgy and out there and flamboyant. But all in all, it's very sophisticated and classy. The class element is always there.
How would you describe the men and women who wear your clothes?
Well, I would describe because I have a men line, but it's not so extensive. But women that sure of themselves and want to be totally feminine and very sophisticated and classy.
So can you tell us what were some of your main inspirations when designing the resort collection?
Oh, the resort collection, the first resort. I wanted to have a concept that is not totally fitted and easy. It's breezy. It's very Caribbean. when you think of resorts, you can be anywhere in the world. You can be in Key West, you can be anywhere, but it still fits the profile of that kind of lounge, relaxing, kind of nothing too restrictive, you know.
Hmm.
So and I play on different colors too, for because it depends on the person's mood too. But what you know, or earth colors are timeless. You can't ever go wrong with that, and it's also it's easy to wear. Day or night, very easy, just depends on how you access the rights. So it is very flowy, and it has a sexual element to it, because movements, you find movements can be very flirty, and so it is very sexual. Lerna would know what I'm talking about. She has a few of these pieces, and so I play on the woman who just wants to be very flirty, or just some of this is even girlish, and but again, you need to keep that elegant, sophisticated sophistication to it. So that is what I always incorporate in my design. It doesn't matter if it's resort or formal. So I think I've been able to achieve that from the feedbacks that I'm getting.
It is commendable what you're doing with sickle cell. It is equally commendable the way you approach mentoring and nurturing young people, and I admire that. We need more of that, more like you. Um, so I ask you this question: um, What would you like the little girl who aspires to be like you, a talented fashion designer and humanitarian? What would you like her to think when she hears the name Sonia Noel?
When she hears the name Sonia Noel, what I would like her to think, I would like her to think that hardworking person, and sometimes, and fashion designing is not a walk in the park. But you can achieve whatever you want to do, and I'm just an example of that. From a small town, I mean, I have where fashion was, especially fashion designing, was kind of unheard of. Um, when she hears the name Sonia Noel, she must be inspired to do great things and to be better than I am. And probably, like I told Andy Cummins, who is my apprentice, I want you to be 100 times better than I am, and he has the ability to do it. So when she hears the name, I want her to be inspired to do well, to whatever career path. It doesn't have to be fashion, but just making you keeping the dream alive and making it a reality one day.
What are some fashion trends in the Caribbean that have caught your eye?
Fashion trends in the Caribbean, I can tell you, like, not trend is more, it's not so permanent. It's more, what is in at the moment, and what you find with Caribbean clothing, it's kind of not seasonal, because we don't have seasons here either, and so and that's why you find that most of it's timeless. You can get a piece now, 6 years later, 10 years later, it's still appropriate for that time. But what I find, the uniqueness of Caribbean designers, and like one of my favorite designers in the region would definitely be Claude Robert Young from Trinidad and Tobago. He has mastered manipulating appliques on his garment, whether it's male or female. He has a phenomenal line. He's been around like for 25, going to 30 years. And Robert has been a stalwart and a veteran and an inspiration in the industry. And he believes in the Caribbean, and he believes in what we have to offer. And I have that same belief that we have something special to offer. And when you look at, sometimes it's just us as Caribbean people, the way we stand, our movements, our cuisine, everything about us, it's eclectic. It's full of life, and that comes from our past, and a lot of times we don't capitalize on it. People look here in the Caribbean, borrow, steal, whatever you want to call it, and package it to us, and we think it's something else, and it's just what we have, and we are special, and we don't even know how special we are. Like I once read Michael Kors. He actually sent a group of designers to the region to get inspiration from us Caribbean people, So I think we definitely have something, and I more attention now, because we are in a better place fashion wise, than we were 10 years ago. And so we are getting some attention, and I think that is great. And I want to see for Caribbean Week in the US that you see more of the creative arts, you see more of the artists, you see more of the fashion designers and so on. Mainstream, we're talking about, not just little things that might be organized by Caribbean people. And what we also have to understand as a Caribbean person, we have a responsibility, and we want to see the Caribbean artists. It's like a marriage. You want to see the Caribbean artists wearing Caribbean designers clothing. You're on stage singing 100% Trini or whatever, and what you're wearing is not even from a Trinidadian designer or even from a Caribbean designer. So Trini to the bone and whatever, you know. So you need that march. We still, and I mentioned that earlier, we still need that synergies. We're still working on that. And if we're talking about branding the Caribbean, that's one of the perfect way to brand it.
You spoke about Robert. Who are some other fashion designers, and quickly as possible, in the Caribbean that you admire?
Oh, I definitely admire Millie, and I think she's one of the stalwarts, and she has really done tremendously worldwide. Jamaica Cleopatra, we have Barbados, we have Pauline Bellamy. So we have a lot in we have a lot of people in the region that's doing that. Like we have, I mean, some of them are actually living in the U.S. Courtney Washington, I like very much. He's Jamaican. He's back in Jamaica now, but he's still close to the U.S. So we have a lot of, some of them are known, some of them are unknown, and they when I'm talking about synergies, that is what gets us to the next level, because the talent is a given, but we just need to get the right resources and the right exposure. That is what really takes us to the next level.
Talking about that, what are some of your real concerns, your deep concerns and fears about the future of fashion in Guyana and the region?
Okay, some of the concerns will be access to raw materials. Some of the concerns, especially when as it relates to Guyana, um, funding could be a problem. Well, that could be is a problem, because especially when you have a small business or you're now starting out, and there's lots of things, funding, access to material. Because sometimes, and they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and a lot of time you have to, just improvise, and that has this plus and minus, because you get creative and you create things that don't exist anywhere else. But then there are other times that you want access to stuff that to make exactly what the prototype requires, and that sometimes that can be very challenging. And it's when the wider Caribbean, I think some of the concerns is would be still Korean people still need to support, because you can support, not, you don't have to be a corporate person to support. You can support by saying, you know what, I'm going to own one or two pieces from a local designer. That is your measure. There's lots of way that you can actually support. So we still need Korean people to want to be part of this celebration and this growing industry.
I
So
act,
we still need to
I
work on that.
actually like that idea, Sonia. Make a choice, make a decision to own at least one or two pieces from the Caribbean. I like that. I like that a
Yes,
lot. I
and
really like that.
also, Selwyn, because in the diaspora, of course, you have family there. Maybe as a gift, buy and send to your family. That is, we have a huge Caribbean diaspora all over. So
That's a good idea. Let me just shift to the chat room a little bit. Nicolette Greenwich Adams said, "Hey Sonia, I always knew you were talented. You always exhibited your artistic abilities and talents. I remember the outfits you designed for the two of us so many years ago. Proud of you, hun." And then Lorna Welshman Neblet said, "Karen, remember that Sonia is not in the studio with Selwyn as others have in the past. And here is difficulty with the overseas connections and their systems. Hang in there and let's see." Thank you, Lorna. Karen G, "I am aware, Lorna, I am teasing Sel." Wow. Nice time to tease me, Karen. I'll get you. Lorna Welchman Neblet said, "I just didn't want you to get impatient and sign off." Thanks. You see what I'm saying, Sonia? We have a family here. We
yeah,
tease and we have fun, and when there are these little difficulties, everybody's understanding. So I think that speaks to what you were talking about being Caribbean and the synergy that is important for us to support and celebrate each other. Um,
yeah.
Let me ask you this: When are you?
Nikki, the one that just the girl, the young lady,
Mhm.
we taught at the same high school, and even before I became well known, I would make outfits for us. That is true. Like every function we had to go to, I'll be making the outfits.
When are you most happy, Sonia?
Oh, when I'm with my kids, I love my work. So it provides a level of happiness for me. I mean, my grandson, I can safely say he's the love of my life, Jaden, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, his
Ha-
second birthday.
Happy
But my
birthday.
kids, they make me very, very happy. My family, at Christmas, I had a wonderful Christmas day because my family, I was close to my family, and my two daughters were there. And my work make me happy, but my family, I love my family very much.
In
And
your
it's
in your interactions with local and other Caribbean designers, what sense do you get that there is definitely creativity that will take the international community by storm?
could you? I didn't get it very clear.
In your interactions with local and other Caribbean designers, what
Uh-huh.
sense do you get when you see some of the creativity that there is creativity that will definitely take the international community by storm?
Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt at all because it's different. And you find that Caribbean people, Caribbean designers, I think they could have that niche market that's exclusive because they have that population out there that wants to be special, wants to feel special, and can pay the money to look and feel special. So you find Caribbean designers. I mean, I'm always in awe when I go to Caribbean Fashion Week or even Guyana Fashion Week with some of the designers that come in and some designers that are already here. And you find, and everybody, there's a difference there, whether it's a hand painted garment or whether it's one that's beaded with shells from the sea. There's a difference there. There's a difference. Like when I met Jean Paul Gaultier when I went to Creole Fashion Day last year before the last in Guadeloupe. I was at the press conference earlier. I didn't get to talk to him, but the next day actually he came up to me. He said he saw me at the press conference, and he said I stood out because I looked different. What I was wearing was different, and my hair. He spoke to me over half that to actually drag him away from me, and he was telling me about how his humble beginnings and so on. And one of the things he said to me, he said, "Continue being original. They will notice eventually." You know, and never forget where you're from. So it's that there's something about being original, that we have that to offer. And I think given a chance, and I know it will happen, it might not, I'm not sure if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but it will happen where you will see Caribbean designers on the red carpets in the mainstream magazines and all that. We definitely have something here.
I believe so. Lorna Welchman Neblet said, Selwyn, I can select a great men's short for you, and you will own a piece also. And thanks, Lorna. I know you have my back. And Ash asked, are your daughters walking in your designing success?
Actually, they both are very creative, but Mariska chose medicine. And Shantae, who has actually produced a clothing line, she is now doing capes. So she has it on pause. She still contributes, and she's my critic, actually. I would run stuff by her because she has an eye. And great, I'm so grateful that she's in the business stream. So I'm hopeful that she is going to be some part of it, fashion merchandising, whatever. She's going to be part of the business because after building something and working very hard, it's you always look forward to at least one of your children to be part of to carry on the legacy, and that is how empires are built. So I'm very happy that she's chosen the business side of it. Mariska still assists, and she feels kind of guilty because she's the first child, and she'll say, "Oh, mom, I think I'm disappointing you," but no, she's not disappointed me. I want her to be the best that she could be, and I think she's going to be a great doctor. So I don't pressure my children to be part of. They have to willingly want to be part of. So I'm happy that Shante is in the business stream. So it's hopeful.
What is it about you that
Said, suffer the little children to come unto me. Every day, more than 30,000 children around the world die of preventable diseases. More than 300,000 children are being used in war as child soldiers. Lord have mercy. A child should be loved. A child should be held. A child should be clean. A child shouldn't smell. A child shouldn't go to bed.
most people do not know?
Oh, maybe I can cook. I'm very well too. I so because every time I mention about, oh, I did this for the kids or I did this, he was like, oh, you did, you could. But I've been baking at a tender age because I was selling buns and cakes and pastries at one time. I was probably 12 years old, around that. Yeah, I did that for a few years. So I learned to bake and I learned to cook young because my mom, I'm the eldest. I know I had to help her. It was my obligation to help her with all the kids that she had. So I learned to cook very, very young. And I seem to be good at it. And I always say to people, I not just cooking, I like the preparing. It's an art, culinary arts. People regard it as just cooks. I mean, chef is an art form, being in the culinary arts. And that's one of the things I implemented into Fashion Week. The culinary arts is one of them. With a fashion designer and a chef, one of the events. It's I was made especially for that. So coming back to what I was saying, cook people sometimes they kind of, you really cook.
What do you think young people, especially young Guyanese designers, should be focusing on in 2014 in this year?
Better in your craft. Knowing your craft is always an advantage, and not focusing on the glamorous side of it, because of course that's just a small part of it. There's a lot of hard work before you get to the glamorous side. And what sometimes people get carried away, they get a few feature in the newspaper and television and tell themselves they're stars and start getting stupid and acting stupid. Just forget that nonsense. Just be real, be true to yourself, and just focus on your craft.
Give us a few names, maybe three, of young Guyanese designers that you have been really paying attention to. That is going
Oh,
to surprise you.
definitely. I have no problem with that. Nelson Nurse will be on top of that, and not just because he's talented. Because I always say the talent alone is not going to get you there. You have to be focused. You have to be disciplined. So he is definitely one of them. And the comments that I told you earlier, and Shanae Wong, I think the three of them definitely will be forces to reckon with in the future.
In the chat room, asked, will we see you featured? Will we see you featured cooking in your magazine? And Rudy said, pity about the transmission difficulties. Simply being on this interesting show is fitting tribute to your enormous talents and your contribution to the development of Caribbean fashion and creativity.
Cooking. We actually have a section for cooking in the magazine where you saw the seven curry, because it was featured mainly in Guyana. You had the Metagy, pepper pot. This last issue was featured strictly the cooking part was Guyana, and I love the picture with the leaf and the seven curry. So every feature is going to have something different. So cooking is definitely, of course, it's part of us in the Caribbean. We like to eat, especially our, like, a friend of mine was here today, and she's going to India, so she was asking about the food in India. And I was saying, it's when I the Indian food we have here, it's nothing like what you got there.
So, you know what? You mentioned just now when I asked you about to name three designers, three young people, and you mentioned I think Nielsen Nurse. Did
Yes.
you give us the other two?
Nelson Nurse, Andy Cummins, and Shanae Wong.
Thank you.
Those three, yes,
Thank you.
definitely.
So let me ask you some rapid fire questions because time is on us, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, See how fast we can answer these. What are you most thankful for?
I am most thankful. I can name more than one, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm thankful for the my family that I have, my kids, of course, that is close to my heart, and the talent that God has given me.
Okay. What projects are you working on now?
Oh, I am working on the next issue of the Making Style magazine.
What is one? Well, what was the most challenging or painful decision you ever made?
Uh, the most challenging decision I've ever made would definitely be leaving Mariska's father when I was 4 months pregnant.
Who is Sonia Noel evolving into, and who will she be in 10 years?
Well, hopefully, Sonia Noel in 10 years would definitely be even more of an inspiration to the young people. And what else? Oh, I have to be I have to go Paris. It's too romantic and the artistic and the whatever. In 10 years, I have to definitely visit Paris. I would like to have more time for, oh, I'll be married in 10 years. Yes, I'll be married.
Well, congratulations. Who or what inspires you?
Um, Inspiration for me comes from sometimes my environment. If we're talking about people, I know Nelson Mandela was one person that inspired me because for someone to go through so much and not have hate in them and to turn hate into love, I mean that is just commendable. My mom for keeping me, always what should I say? My mom, I still don't wear short skirts when I go to visit her. So she always keeps me, I'm always her child. And she inspires me to be good. She inspires me to be God fearing and, definitely be my mom too.
Have we
But
seen
also, I must say that the, the young talent around me, I get lots of inspiration from them too.
the best of Sonia Noel yet?
Oh no, the best is yet to come, I can assure you.
What does success mean to you?
What it means to me, what success means to me, it just it it's a gratifying feeling to be successful, but it also it's like you I shouldn't it's an adrenaline that you want to go, you want to keep going, and it also for me success is inspiring other people to do better. And when I say it's an adrenaline, it's like if a project is successful, you just can't wait for the next and the next and the next. So
Gotcha.
even when it fails, you still it triggers you to do better. So success has its plus, and I would say people look at failure as a minus. Not always, not
Okay.
always.
So if you had a chance to go back in time, what would you tell the 17-year-old Sonia Noel?
17-year-old, is that 17?
Yes, yes, her.
I would probably tell 17-year-old Sonia, you really should make gym really a part of your life because I'm still struggling with that. Because it's when you're younger, it's easy to incorporate things in your life. When you're old, like me, over 40, you just kind of struggle. So I'll definitely tell her, girl, make sure that gym is a part of your life.
Finish this sentence for us. I look forward to Sunday evening to.
I look forward to Sunday evening actually to probably cook a nice meal for my daughter and take a nice book and relax.
What drives you, Sonia? What makes you get up every day and do what you do?
Just being alive and thinking it's a privilege.
And last but not least, the question I ask every one of my guests:
What's that?
what makes you laugh out loud?
Some thoughts, sometimes funny things that happened in the past. One of it definitely would be when I was in Haiti. My friend from St. Lucia, Esther, asked me to take a picture with her, and she fell asleep in the garden while I was taking the picture. And every time I remember that, I laugh. My grandson, he does some funny things. Things. He throw my CDs over the thing, and so I just looking at him in motion with his little self. He really makes me laugh, smile, and then it turns into laugh. So
Sonia, I want to thank you for appearing on CWS. I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for your grace on the fire and your courage on the fire. Um,
thank you for having me.
oh, you're quite welcome. You are
And if
quite.
all day, because all of this fault is my computer, not yours. So you've been very patient.
That's okay. As I said, we are all a family. But what was interesting about this evening is that I started out hoping that our audience gets a glimpse of the multifaceted, talented, and gifted Sonia Noel. And because of the technology, you see, there's a silver lining under every cloud. Because of the technology, because of the glitches, we were able to see your patience and your grace and your kindness. So, Sonia Noel, thank you. Guyana is fortunate to have you. The Caribbean is fortunate to have you.
Thank you, and I just hope and pray that the guidance of God will continue to be even more an inspiration. So.
And before you go, Sean P said, great energy.
Who said that?
Sean P. Someone in the
Oh,
chat room said, great energy.
thank you.
So, Sonia, you are now officially one of the women of CWS. And
It's a privilege and an honor.
so you definitely will. I'm asking you to come back sometime soon. But the next time you're going to be in the
Your
studio.
studio. I'm not taking this chance. I'm coming to your studio.
Thank you so much. And also, before we go, two things I want from you. If people here in North America want to get their hand on any of your pieces, is there a website? Is there somewhere they can go?
Yes, there's sonianoel.com. There's a website, and Lorna Neblet, Washman Neblet, she is my contact there in the US.
Lorna is your contact.
Yes.
Wow. And then it would have been easier for me to contact Lorna to reach you, but
I see you didn't know that.
I didn't
Well,
know.
they can check the website. They can check the Facebook page. There's info there. There's email address. There numbers there. So.
Wow. Well, Sonia, thank you for staying up so late. I know you're an hour ahead of us.
No, I'm going to go read my book now. I just started The Pill of the Earth, so I have to continue. So
Wow.
I read for a few hours. I'm not going to bed now.
Well, good night, Sonia. Thank you. Bye bye.
And I'll send some sun for you. Remember, I promised you that.
Oh, Sonia, I was hoping you wouldn't say it. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Arrowhead, I love my golden arrowhead. I don't think you heard me. I said arrowhead, yeah. I love my golden arrowhead. Mama, mama, oh, Gigi, massive.